These are the 5 types of homes that I would never recommend anyone buy. And they are, often buyers aren't even aware of the potential issues with a home before they go out and look at it, let alone wanting to write an offer on. And these are the 5 homes that I would strongly avoid. And if you decide that you want to try for it, you're going to need to be really careful and check these following things out for each of these properties. So the first type of properties that I would probably be more cautious about are homes over 100 years old. And here are the reasons why. First, these homes can have asbestos, lead, and a bunch of other issues. Yes, I understand these homes may be very beautiful and the architecture is amazing. San Diego has a lot of homes that would be classified as historical. And what that means is when you get that designation, there is a little bit of benefit, and the benefit for the homeowner is lower tax bases. However, you're not allowed to make any major modifications to the home. There are rules in place about what you can change to that house. And often the repairs on a home that old is pretty major. So you're kind of caught in this situation where you're required to follow rules about what you're able to change on homes this old because of the historic designation, as well as your ability to want to be able to modify it and that you can actually live in it and use it. This is potentially problems that a lot of homeowners aren't aware when they get into homes that are older than 100 years old. Things like plumbing, heating, electrical, all of these issues in homes that are older than 100, a lot of times have issues. For example, plumbing, there is a possibility homes that old will probably be lined with lead, which we all know is a toxin. And so you're gonna end up probably having to rip out all the plumbing and sewage lines in order to make sure that this isn't going to be contaminating, for example, your drinking water in the plumbing. Another thing is homes this old will definitely have asbestos and other toxic or carcinogenic chemicals in the home when they were first built. So these potential issues can cost you tens of thousands of dollars to make these repairs. And it's something that you need to be aware of because those costs can get completely out of control. The second type of home that I would be really careful about purchasing are homes that are in flood zone areas. And yeah, San Diego is a desert and we don't have a lot of rain. However, we do have flood zones in San Diego. Oftentimes when we have major rainfall, areas like Fashion Valley actually get flooded, and a lot of the properties in that area get damaged. We recently had a flood in San Diego in the Pacific Beach, Ocean Beach area, where water had actually intruded so far into the San Diego area that there were some areas where the streets were just completely covered with water. Yes, it's a very rare occurrence, but this could potentially happen. So you want to be aware of this, primarily because if you buy a home in a flood zone, we are in a situation in California where more and more insurance companies are leaving the state. And so as a result, it's going to either cost you more for insurance or you may not even be able to insure your home. Third type of home, you may not even know this, but there are homes that are sitting on top of what used to be old oil wells and gasoline tanks. There are certain areas where the developer will go into and clean up the area and then get a certification that says that it's eco-friendly enough that they can build homes on it. And a lot of times they will build over abandoned oil tanks or gasoline tanks. And the homeowners may not even be aware of this until they get into escrow and then they're looking at the disclosures. And we know that when a buyer purchases a home, a lot of times they'll sign those disclosures without actually reading all the natural hazards and information that are available. So you could potentially buy a home that it was fully disclosed that there is an oil tank underneath it that you might not just be aware of. This is why I think working with the Scott Cheng team here in San Diego and myself in particular, we have an attorney that we hire on our client's behalf at no cost. And what that attorney does is they review all of those disclosures and everything. And so that way our buyer is 100% aware of every information that we have that we are able to get. There is a community in San Diego in the Mira Mesa Sorrento area, brand new development. They look amazing, but the homeowners may or may not be aware that that property was actually built over an old quarry and cement factory. So a lot of the chemicals and things that went into making concrete was actually in this area. Yes, the developer was required from an environmental impact situation to clean it up, but it's a buyer beware when it comes to whether or not you want to purchase a home in an area that used to be a cement factory. The fourth type of houses that you have to be very cognizant of, and I help clients with this all the time, are flipped homes that are owned by LLCs. A lot of times these flippers will cut corners. I have seen it so many times where flippers have done a shoddy job and they'll try to pull the wool over a buyer's eyes. I want to share with you a story about a property that I was in escrow with a client and we had backed out because of our due diligence. In the disclosures, the developer and the flipper basically tried to hide the fact that they had removed a load-bearing wall in the home. They had tried to bury this information in a bunch of documents and disclosures, hoping that the buyer wouldn't see it. Our attorney and myself found it and we brought it to the buyer's attention. And we reached out to the listing agent and asked, it seems that you remodeled and made modifications to the kitchen. At any time, did you change any of the structure of the home? They came back to us and told us that they had removed a load-bearing wall. However, this wasn't given out to us as general information from the beginning. We had to claw this information out of the listing agent. And in the end, we ended up canceling escrow. 2 weeks later, they were in escrow and they sold this property to another buyer. The reason we backed out was because the seller refused to go back to the city and pull permits. So it is imperative that when you buy a home that is flipped by an LLC, that you do your due diligence and you be very, very careful about what it is that you're buying. There is that old saying, flippers will put lipstick on a pig. And that is very, very descriptive of a lot of homes that I have shown and I've waved my clients away from buying because of the potential issues that are underlying with many of these flippers. And the last type of house I would completely avoid are very custom-made homes. Imagine buying a house with a 500-gallon aquarium, right? It might sound amazing, and when you're walking through the property, it might just be like, oh wow, this is so beautiful. However, you may not be aware of that, one, you're gonna have to maintain that aquarium, and two, you may end up having a difficult time selling it to another buyer in the future. I'll share with you a story recently that I had a client. I was taking them to look at homes. This home was worth about $4.5 million. The homeowner had completely remodeled it to their personal preference and their taste. So everything in the house had Tuscan look. They had, pillars and Art Deco, and it was just so over the top Italian feel that my clients loved the floor plan. But had they bought it, they would have had to actually put in another $300,000 to $500,000 to completely take all of that out and remodel it. And it just made the property not attractive enough for them to want to buy it. So when you buy homes that are very specific and customized to your taste or the previous owner's taste, keep in mind this could potentially affect your sale price and how many people will ultimately buy your property. So one final thought that I want to leave you with is that when you are looking at buying a home, work with an agent that has a lot of experience and especially has the resources and connections with people that can help you vet this property. The last thing you want to do is buy a property and then realize you have tens of thousands of dollars of potential repair and now you're stuck. And if you're considering moving to San Diego, reach out to me. I'd be happy to show you some properties and then help you avoid these pitfalls. And then our attorney will help you be able to avoid the pitfalls from the legal perspective in case there are disclosures that the seller is not just readily available trying to tell you, and they may be trying to hide it in stacks and stacks of contracts that they think you may not read. And if you like this content, please subscribe and hit the like button, and let me know in the comments below what other content you would like me to create and share with you. My name is Scott, and I want to make sure that you're real estate informed.